As I was digging around in one of our closets, I came across some binders, and I'm going to show you these in just a second, that I had when I was at Fayetteville State University. As a matter of fact, you can see on here, it says Faculty Portfolio, Fayetteville State University, Gregory B. Sadler. And I had not just one, but two of these massive binders. I don't even know how much they weigh. And there's a reason I had these. It was in part because if you were at that university, and this was quite common at the time, you had to assemble a portfolio, and that's what this actually is, faculty portfolio, for going up for tenure or promotion from assistant to associate professor or full professor, or after full professor and tenure, you'd still have like post-tenure review. And like if you wanted to go for any sort of prizes, like teaching awards or stuff like that, you needed these binders full of stuff. And this is very old-fashioned, right? But this is from 2000, well, up to 2011 when I left Fayetteville State University. I taught there from 2008 to 2011. There's a whole story I'm not going to go into about how I wound up in North Carolina in the middle of the financial meltdown and all that sort of stuff. Suffice it to say, this is all from 3 years. And when I left Fayetteville State University, I actually, if I'd stayed there one more year, I was ready to go for early tenure and promotion because I had done so much stuff. And when I say so much stuff, for professors, we usually break things down into three categories. There's research, teaching, and what they call service. And research is the things that you publish or going to conference presentations. Typically, if you're going for tenure, depending on where you are, they want to see articles and books and things like that. Fayetteville State University was a little weird in that they counted a book as less than a peer-reviewed article, but that's because it was so heavily dominated by the social sciences people and the education people. But everything that you did, if you were smart, and I learned this early on, you needed to document, because if it wasn't documented, it doesn't exist as far as all the hoops and people and committees that you had to jump through in order to get promotion or tenure. And by the way, at Fayetteville State University, that was 7 different entities that all of this would have to go to. And sometimes these binders full of stuff would actually get lost in the process. It happened more than once. I was actually arguing before I left for the idea that we should actually switch from all of this sort of stuff to an electronic format. And I'm sure they've got an electronic format now. That's sort of the common thing to do. But this was the way things were done back in the day, only less than 10 years ago at so many schools. And so every time that you did a conference presentation, every time you published an article, every time that you did some sort of talk for the community or participated in some workshop or did other things like that could count as service, anytime you advised, all of it went into that binder. All of your teaching evaluations went into that binder. Your syllabi went into that binder or binders. And I haven't actually looked inside this for years and years and years. Certainly not since we moved here to Milwaukee in 2015. So I'm kind of curious to see what all is in here. So to begin with, I got some stuff that it was supposed to be filed, apparently, that's just kind of shoved in there. Let's see what we got here. So these are about reappointments. That's right, you had to send this stuff along for reappointments as well. And that's nice. So these are things, it looks like there were a lot of different people that had to sign off on me getting reappointed. Yeah, four different letters, right? One from my chair at Agoki, one from the faculty committee with Todd Frobish and Eric Hyman is signing off, then the dean, David Barlow, and then the provost. So that's interesting, isn't it? Then we got some certificates of completion for... Oh, yeah, this is cool. So this is something I needed, right, a while back. Here's my online teaching certification, the first time that I went through a certification. I've done it 3 times now with 3 different institutions. This one is from February 2011. And what was this? Faculty development seminar. Oh yeah, I completed NIH courses so that I could do things for going to boards for that. Oh, an outstanding service award. That's nice. I forgot that. I was on the faculty senate. Apparently I did meritorious service to them. National Library Week activities. I hadn't filed this. I did a presentation. You can see the YouTube video of it. Here's some more stuff. Ah, here it is, National Library Week. Presentation I did on the ethics of anger. My latest student evaluation. So those are things I just hadn't filed. Now take a look at this. So this is the checklist that went along with this. And all of these things had to be in there just to get reappointed for another 2-year term. What else do we got here? And more letters. Don't need those. More forms. Holy crap, there's a lot of stuff in here. Ah, here we go. Here's my CV, right? So that's nice to see. That goes on for pages and pages and pages. Then we had faculty evaluations, peer evaluations. I forgot about all of that stuff. We had to evaluate each other. Then we have the syllabi. I taught a lot of classes, and each class I think I taught, there's a syllabi in there. Then, like when I did presentations or guest lectures, so 4 motivations, justifications, and theories of punishment. Oh no, those were actually for classes that I did. Yeah, so course redesign materials. I was heavily involved with the collegiate learning assessment project, and so we've got that. I did some stuff there. Selected supporting materials, CLA development as teaching technique and strategy. I did a number of things for that, incorporating the CLA into my classes. Created a 4-document exercise. I did this with it. I helped the art department out with that one. I forgot about all of this sort of stuff. Then there's all sorts of things I did with the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. How I, took the things that they were teaching and adopted them to my classes. Man, and I applied for like mini grants to do that. I should put all those things into my CV if I'm smart. Writing intensive classes. I did writing across the curriculum and writing intensive things. I want to skip over some of this stuff. Learning inquiry or learning community stuff. Guest lectures I did for other people. The first one I did, Propaganda and Rhetoric, Origins and Histories of African American Christian Denominations and Congregations. I can't even find this document. I'm glad I've got the slides for it here because that's a talk I've been meaning to come back to. I used to do a lot of stuff with religious studies, and that was a Black History Week talk. Postmodern theory, I was already lecturing about that back then. Michel Foucault, Technology and Power Relations, a small primer for non-experts. I got to look at these things. Oh, and there's even like letters from people saying thanks for giving these guest lectures. I did a thing on Buddhist doctrine and spirituality and art and architecture. Not even sure what class that was for. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail. Then we got ongoing faculty development, more certificates. Geez, there's a lot of these in here. Metaphysics colloquium, e-citizenship initiative, which is back in 2009 up in Detroit. Looks like everything that I went to that counted as faculty development of some sort. I put it in there, and looks like, look at this. I've got some notes for myself in here, so clearly this is not completely ready to go. Faculty development seminar. We had this entire class that we took, and we got a course release for it, so that was something I did. Then we got published peer-reviewed articles and conference proceedings. So everything that I published, I made a photocopy of it, and it went in here, right? And that's what they wanted you to do. Isn't that nutty? I actually published a lot of stuff while I was at Fayetteville State University. I'm still in book chapters and articles. Man, online thing. Published book reviews. Articles sent out to journals because that was important as well. What is this stuff? Conference presentations. Also, I actually won an award for conference presentations in 2009 for like the outstanding faculty award. Yeah, I did a lot of presentations. This is cool. I actually have like things I'd forgotten about. And here's like conference programs in there because at Fayetteville State University, they wouldn't trust that you actually had gone to the conference unless they saw a program from the conference. Right, so like, here's one that was really fun at Steubenville before Franciscan University Steubenville went really downhill. The Legacy of Neoplatonism. That was a conference that I presented on Anselm, and we drove up there, and my colleague Richard Hall came with me. Philosophy Born a Struggle. We actually organized a conference at Fayetteville State University. That's a Africana philosophy conference, so that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, I went to Viterbo up here in Wisconsin, conference on the cardinal virtues, presented about Anselm again. Grant proposals and activities. I've got all sorts of grant stuff in here that I applied for. Oh, and I actually did get some grants. I got to put those into my CV as well. I totally forgot about that. Faculty mentors, I did that as well. What do we got here? This stuff at the end. Oh my gosh. This is, so these are loose documents. This is a blast from the past. So I was the editor of it was called Journal of Philosophy, Nepal. And you know, they sort of asked me out of the blue if I would help out, and I did work with them for about 6 years. And so here is my appointment, my tenure being made, associate editor being made permanent after the evaluation, et cetera, from Yubraj Aryal. So that is, totally forgot about that. They used to call me jokingly the man from Kathmandu because, you know, I was editing that journal. Then we got University Service and a bunch of stuff kind of just shoved in here. Not sure what all these things are. But University Service is really like anything that you're doing that's helping out the university or the community. So I gave lectures, helped organize the Philosophy Born a Struggle conference, did a lot of work with the CLA, implementing it into the curriculum. Reading club, I forgot about that. We had a reading club for incoming freshmen, and we actually used Barack Obama's Dreams of My Fathers. We tried to get Michelle Obama to come, you know, HBCU, North Carolina, helped Barack win the election. They were not interested. You know, for people who don't understand, HBCU is historically black college or university. And there's a tier system. When you hear about them, you always hear about Howard and Morehouse and maybe a few state schools. And there's like, you know, those are sort of like the Harvards. And then, you know, Fayetteville State University or Elizabeth State University or Pembroke for Native American students, they're kind of at the bottom and they don't really count as much because there's a class system with historically black colleges and universities as well. But what else? Oh, I gave workshops for FSU faculty. I forgot about this. Look at this. A workshop in teaching the humanities. Medieval philosophical arguments about God. I gave that for the people who are teaching humanities classes to help them, you know, with that sort of material. That's cool. How to use the CLA. I did a lot of stuff on that. Reacting to the past, I did that and talked about how to use research-based drama. Then we have service to the College of Arts and Sciences. What did I do for that? Oh man, I was helping out the library by giving them recommendations for books. Departmental Service. I was on a couple committees, helping out with that. What is this? Oh, I got asked to give a report about some malfeasance that some of my colleagues were engaged in, and so my chair delegated me to do that. And then it went to the dean, and the dean was like, "This guy writes some good reports." He said, "This review of the proposal is absolutely outstanding." So that was kind of nice to put me on the radar for them. Man, I did a lot of stuff. The provost wrote an email saying, "I appreciate Gregory Sadler's thoughtful comments." I don't even know what this was actually about. Oh, interdisciplinary studies. There was an argument and 2 alternative proposed models for interdisciplinary studies major. Looks like I came up with that. Who knew, right? Scholarly service to the broader academic community. Here's my Philosophical Society of Nepal appointment letter. Oh, all the journals of philosophy that I did stuff in is in there. I did, reviewer reports. That's nice. Man. Helped out with some other things. Looks like I was on a couple other committees. This is interesting. And then what do we have here? Some more things shoved in there. Not even sure what all these materials were supposed to be for. Certificate of appreciation from the Knights of Columbus for something. Oh, it looks like I helped organize a Catholic literature reading group in Fayetteville. Gave guest lectures to local high schools on various issues in religion and Supreme Court cases. And so, yeah, this is all a bunch of... this is a long time ago. Well, some of it more than a decade ago. It's hard to get this thing to close. And some of it as recent as 2011. It feels like a whole different life that I was living then. So, what's the story here? Well, all those things are things that I did at Fayetteville State University. And then I had to gather all of this stuff into these binders as evidence that I'd actually been doing that, because I was planning on going for early tenure and promotion. That didn't end up happening. I should tell you that story as well. So many of you know that my wife and I have known each other since high school, and I'm going to tell the full story in another Sadler stories down the line. Suffice it to say, we reconnected through Facebook at the end of 2009, had an epistolary relationship, meaning writing back and forth to each other before we actually talked on the phone or even saw each other face to face for months, fell in love with each other, decided to get married. I was going through my divorce at the time. Divorce ended. In June 2010, we actually got to see each other for the first time and start spending time together. We went to a conference in Toronto. She was up in New York. I was down in North Carolina. Long story short, we did the Commuter Couple thing for about a year, and then we were like, "Screw this, man! This sucks." And there's no way that she was coming down to North Carolina. I'm not a Southerner. I didn't want to be down there anyway. And the Hudson Valley in New York is kind of a lot like the Midwest. And so we decided I would leave Fayetteville State University, where I had written the Tenure Quality Enhancement Plan. I was up for early tenure and promotion. I was going to be heading all sorts of faculty development stuff. I'd actually run university-wide assessment. And so I left all that behind, came up to New York, and started teaching at Marist College as an adjunct, and then doing the YouTube video stuff, and living. We were living together, and I'll tell you another story about that some other time, about the move and all the other interesting things with that. But this is the story of how university work comes together in this crazy document, or a set of documents. I mean, this thing must weigh like 20 pounds, I'm guessing. That's pretty much all there is to the story there. I thought some of you might find interesting the sort of stuff that went into demonstrating what you were doing at universities and tracking it. And, we obviously don't do things like that anymore, thank goodness, because this is kind of a crazy way to do things.